So it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Kamaldeep to talk about uncemented implant. Is it an issue? How to decide on the best option?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Singh. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm grateful to Ashish. He's not here in the hall at the moment. We worked together in Glasgow a few years back, and he had been an excellent fellow here. So, talking about the uncemented stems. For 5 seconds, I have to keep this slide here, according to Royal College. I think it's over. So, we have been listening to the cemented stems since morning, and I thought I'll give a little bit of perspective about uncemented stems. What are these historically, how they are developed, and how they work. And then we'll talk about its results and where we should use it or we should not use it. So historically, in 1950s, when we didn't know the science of integration onto the prosthesis, we aimed for macro locking. We have all seen Austin Moores with the big holes in that, and Julia prosthesis with the holes. So the aim was that the bone will grow through those big holes and hold it in place. It may or may not be true. It makes sense in some people, in others it didn't happen, and it became worse. Later on, in 1960s, 70s, the roughening of the surfaces came in, and that started to develop the thinking about the bone own growth onto the prosthesis. And then late 70s, the microporous surfaces started to emerge with the bony ingrowth concept. So the surfaces came in, and that started to develop the designs that came in. They had porosis, the porous surfaces along the whole of the prosthesis, that they were extensively coated as terminal is there. They are specially used for revision surgeries nowadays, although in some of the primary total replacement models, it is still there. The results of these extensively coated were very good in terms of revision rates, very good survival. As you can see in these two studies, 3% and 1% failure rates. But there was a problem. When the distally in the diaphysis, the stem bonds to the bone, proximally the bone stops taking the load, and there is stress shielding leading on to the proximal bone resorption. So once this concept was realized after a few years, when they saw that proximal bone is resorbing and some thigh pain is happening, the concept of the proximal porous coated stems came in, which led on to metaphyseal fixation concept mainly. Distally, the bone doesn't grow onto the prosthesis because the surface is smooth, but in the metaphyseal area, it's porous coated, and that helps with the bone integration. So thus, it stopped the stress shielding and problem of thigh pain. And some of the designs nowadays, we also have HA coating on this porous surface. There was also a design feature that came in was a collar. The collar on the top of the metaphysis. So what that did was, it transferred the load onto the whole of the metaphysis. So the basic idea, basic concept was good, but it limits the full wedging. So if the implant is tapered, it won't go any further. It'll just stay at the top. And in some of the cases, it didn't actually go until the neck, and it just stopped short of the neck. And you can see in many x-rays, there's a big distance between the neck cut and the collar. While not having a collar allows for a good subsidence with a better overtime fixation, but too much of subsidence is also not good, and that may lead to failure eventually. So in the tapered stem with a metaphyseal fixation, collarless, with enhanced proximal loading, there was less thigh pain, less stress shielding, and there are many designs nowadays available with many companies of that. Another thing is the geometry of the stem. How is it fitting into the canal? Because the femoral canal shape varies. In the top part, near the lesser trochanteric area, is more sort of rectangular, more oval, then it grows down into the diaphysis where it becomes more circular. So one thing doesn't fit all, but with the uncemented surface, there are a lot of contact points in that femoral canal that happen with the prosthesis, and that's how it's basically stabilized. So studies were done which showed there was less thigh pain with this, less stress shielding, and door type A and B were good indications. Although many people also do it in door type C femurs. What are the materials that are being used? Mostly either cobalt chrome, titanium, or stainless steel. Most of the designs are made of these. And titanium of these seems to be more bone friendly because it's more near to the bone elasticity, and there is more growth potential of the bone to grow onto the prosthesis. How does osseointegration happens over the time? The basic histological mechanism remains the same as like a fracture repair, like there is a gap and there is an inflammatory phase with a woven bone, and later on remodeling happens. It's similar concept how it grows onto the bone surface. It usually takes about 6 weeks or so for it to start integrating. And before that, it's your press fit or you're fitting into the prepared cavity, which holds the implant in position. A porous surface is produced in many ways. Initially, there were sintered beads, metal mesh, then plasma spray came in, grit blasting. There are different techniques that people use to create the pores. Then porous tantalum and titanium are recent additions into this technology. But what is important for the bone growth? There are few factors which actually affect whether your implant will integrate with the bone or not. And some of these are, one is the pore size, which is crucial. Implant stability, where you have prepared the bone and how stably it's sitting there. How much of it is in contact with the bone, and how much is the difference, the distance between the bone and the implant. Looking at the pore size, people have done various experiments. In an animal study, they found 50 to 400 micrometer was the optimal bone ingrowth pore size. But more ideally, it's 50 to 150 microns, which is thought to be now the pore size which will induce your bony ingrowth. For the implant stability, if it is having a macro motion, that means the movement more than 150 microns, that's macro motion, then it will induce fibrous tissue, not osteoblasts, but the fibroblasts will grow in. But if it is less than that, then that can induce osteoblast and cause bony integration. Less than 40 is ideal, according to one of the studies that was done by JST, but definitely it needs to be less than 150 microns. Then the bone contact surface is very important. The gap of less than 0.5 millimeters should be there between the prosthesis and the bone for the bone to grow onto the prosthesis. Etcher coating helps with this. It acts as a conductor for the bone and integrates with the implant a bit quicker than without etching. Now, all this is fine, but what are the results? What are the long-term results we are seeing these days? There are quite a few series you can find in the literature now, with more than 20 years of results. In one of this series of 350 cases, there was 98% survival at 20 years, with only one revision for aseptic loosening for the taper-locked stem. Another study of 22 years follow-up for the bi-contact cementless stem, where they had 95% revision free stem in the implant, which was for any causes of revision, aseptic, septic, including everything. Another study of 20 to 25 years follow-up with over 350 hip replacements, and they found survivorship of 93% for aseptic loosening. Another study showing 15 to 17 years of results with a Zoe-Muller stem. At 10 years, there was a comparison of the stems done between the two designs of uncemented. One was fully coated and one was metaphyseal region only coated. And they found 98.8% survival for the extensively coated and 97.5% for the proximally coated. But high pain was more in the extensively coated. A systematic review was published about the survival of all types of hips, including cemented and uncemented. And they found that the 25 years pulled rates from the series were about 78%, while if you looked at the registries, the results were different. They were about 58%, so about 20% difference between series and between what the registries are showing. So that was interesting. But this included both cemented as well as uncemented implants. Now, for cemented implants, you have been hearing, and there are very good papers out there showing good survival rates in the midterm. And these are two papers quoted very commonly, one by Danbury about Chanley and by Robin Ling about the 33-year survival rates. Now, these long-term results of implants, those implants have disappeared from our routine usage. So we can keep quoting that, yes, if we got 40 years or 30 years or 25 years, as Calvin said this morning, these implants are not there anymore. So the Exeter's hip that we are using only came in 2002. So we cannot apply the same results to the historically existing implants. Even small changes in the implant can lead to failure, as we have seen historically with the surface finishes or some geometrical changes. They can lead to increased failure rates. So as more designs creep in, we have to watch that space, that whether they will give more increased survival rates to our stems and the hips. For the cemented implants, these results, the series and implants, are applied to those people who have really mastered the techniques of cementing. Cementing is a demanding technique. You have to cement it perfectly to get those results. But if you're cemented poorly, you're not going to get the same outcomes as those series. Cement also introduces another interface with a potential for failure of the interface. It does take longer. It's harder to revise if you need to revise. And it may limit your bearing surfaces, especially on the cup side. If you're cementing, it's mostly poly, which you're putting in. So it limits you in putting what you can put in on the cup side. And we all know that from the cup side, the failure rates of the cemented cups are much more compared to uncemented. So what are the surgeons using around the world? There have been studies, and in the registries as well, it's confirmed that the usage of uncemented stems and hybrids is actually on the rise, and usage of completely cemented hip implants is on the downfall. In Canada and the United States, over 90% of the implants are uncemented. If we look at the cost analysis, there are studies which can go either way. Some say uncemented is cheaper, some say cemented is cheaper, some say it's equal. So there is a jury out there. We can't really say which one is cheaper or not. What I would say with the indications for uncemented stems are on the femoral component, definitely for younger patients, older if they have a good bone stock, and for arthroplasty. For the acetabular components, most of the cups we can cater for uncemented implants, except if there is radiation to the bone or very poor acetabular bone stock. In my own practice, everybody gets an uncemented femur, except for females which are over 65 years of age. And why I do that is because there's an increased risk of periprosthetic fractures in that specific age group in the females. On the cup side, everybody gets an uncemented cup except for the tumor or irradiated bone, or if the cup is severely destroyed with no potential for the bone growth, with people like very severe rheumatoid arthritis on multiple anti-metabolic drugs. Thank you.
We have one more talk in this session, so we'll have the